기술 혁신의 상징입니다. 아프리카와의 전문적이고 미래지향적인 파트너십을 위한 상생협력의 플랫폼. 한 아프리카 재단이 아프리카와 대한민국의 동반 성장을 이끌어갑니다. 한 아프리카 재단. 외교부 산하 기관으로 출범한 한 아프리카 재단은 대한민국과 아프리카와의 관계를 보다 미래지향적인 동반자 관계로 구축하고자 합니다. 또한 아프리카와 관련된 지식정보의 허브로서 종합적 연구와 전문가 양성을 기반으로 다양한 분야에서 아프리카 국가와의 상호 이해를 증진시키며 실질적인 교류 협력을 강화합니다. 한 아프리카 재단은 국내외 청년들과 기업 및 민간단체가 변화하는 국제 환경 속에서 젊은 대륙 아프리카를 통해 새로운 가능성을 열어갈 수 있도록 지원하는 상생협력의 플랫폼으로서의 역할을 하고 있습니다. 한 아프리카 재단은 한 아프리카 경제 비즈니스 세미나와 각종 포럼 등의 개최는 물론 한 아프리카 간 스타트업과 중소기업의 보다 실질적인 교류 협력을 촉진하고 거대한 아프리카 시장에 우리 기업들이 효과적으로 접근할 수 있는 교류 기회를 제공함으로써 지속적이고 폭넓은 비즈니스 네트워크를 구축해 나아가고 있습니다. 이와 함께 한 아프리카 관계의 미래 주역인 청년들 간의 교류를 확대함으로써 우리 청년들이 아프리카 대륙을 미래의 새로운 활동 무대로 인식하는 기회를 마련합니다. 더불어 영화제, 공연 등을 통해 다양하게 아프리카 문화를 이해하고 체험할 수 있는 기회의 장을 제공하여 문화를 바탕으로 아프리카에 대한 이해를 높이고 문화산업의 새로운 성장 기회를 창출해 나아가고 있습니다. 나아가 아프리카 대륙 현지통신원 네트워크를 구축하여 우리 국민들이 아프리카 소식을 보다 쉽고 신속하게 접할 수 있는 기반을 마련하고 현지 연구기관들과 국내 연구기관들 간의 공동 연구를 촉진하여 효율적인 정책 연구 수립에 기여하고 있습니다. 이러한 다양한 활동들을 통해 한 아프리카 재단은 대한민국과 아프리카를 잇는 보다 구체적이고 균형 잡힌 새로운 상생협력의 플랫폼을 설계해 나아가고 있습니다. 아프리카와의 전문적이고 미래지향적인 파트너십을 위한 상생협력의 플랫폼 한 아프리카 재단. 우리 국민들이 아프리카를 보다 쉽게 접하고 다양하게 이해하며 아프리카와 함께 새로운 성장 기회를 창출해낼 수 있도록 한 아프리카 재단이 함께하겠습니다.
네, 이제 곧 잠시 시작할 예정입니다.
Ladies and gentlemen, we are going to be starting shortly.
네, 먼저 인사드리겠습니다. 여러분 안녕하십니까?
I'd like to welcome all the participants to the 4th Korea Africa Youth Forum. My name is Park Sang-yeon, today's MC.
Thank you very much. Today's event is being broadcast live through Korea Africa Foundation YouTube channel. And thank you all for joining us for this very important forum, and especially those of you who are joining us through online. Thank you very much and welcome. And since we're meeting through various channels, I think this forum has become all the more meaningful. So, the 4th Korea Africa Youth Forum is a gathering of youth from Korea and Africa to promote exchange of opinions and ideas, looking for ideas for collaboration. So it is already in its 4th year. In the morning, we had the workshop with African candidates to master and doctorate degrees, and in the afternoon, we are going to have the opening ceremony and the ideation among the youth. To congratulate today's forum, we are joined by important guests. So please give them a big round of applause as each and every one of them is introduced. First, President Yeong-gi of Korea Africa Foundation. Next, Ambassador Carlos Victor Bongu, the Ambassador of Gabon to Korea and Dean of the African Group of Ambassadors. And His Excellency, the Moroccan Ambassador to Korea, Safi Rashadi. Now we are going to start the 4th Korea Africa Youth Forum and Korea Africa Youth Ideation. We would like to invite Ambassador Yeong-gi, the President of Korea Africa Foundation, for opening remarks. Please welcome him with a big round of applause.
Ladies and gentlemen, and young people in this forum, I really welcome to all of you to this wonderful event. Particularly, many thanks to Ambassador Carlos Bongu, Dean of the African Diplomatic Corps, and also the Vice Dean of the African Diplomatic Corps, Ambassador Shafiq Richardi from Morocco. Thank you very much for your sharing your precious time for this event. There is a very wonderful, excellent translators, so I will give my remarks in Korean.
I would like to welcome all of you to the 4th Korea Africa Youth Forum. Thank you all for joining us today. And I would like to thank His Excellency Carlos Victor Bongu, Dean of African Group of Ambassadors, and His Excellency Ambassador of Morocco to Korea, Shafi Rashadi, for joining us today. And this forum is being live streamed on YouTube channel, and Korea and African youth today who are joining us today. Thank you very much for joining us. And those of you who are joining us through online or offline, it's a great pleasure to meet you all. Korea Africa Foundation was established in June of 2018 with the vision of becoming a platform of mutual cooperation and prosperity, connecting the ROK and Africa. Since then, our foundation has hosted a series of events to promote exchanges between the two regions. We have hosted African Business Startup Idea Competition, MOG African Union Conference, Korea Africa Foundation Youth Supporters to promote exchanges between the youth of Africa and Korea. The Korea Africa Youth Forum is one of the most important youth events in our foundation. We are already in its fourth year. The Korea Africa Youth Regional Forum was previously held in last November, bringing together African and Korean youth living in Daejeon, Busan, and Suwon. And the event was an opportunity to reaffirm the commitment of young individuals to promote youth exchanges between Korea and Africa. It was a very meaningful and helpful event. To contain the spread of the COVID-19 virus and adhere to social distancing rules, we have spread out our program for the fourth Korea Africa Youth Forum into a morning and afternoon session. And I have listened to the morning presentations. It was very professional and full of excellent ideas. Thank you all for your participation. And I could see a very strong potential for further growth and development. The presenters were recommended by African Research Institutes of Korean universities, and they have made insightful presentations on their research in various fields ranging from food, nutrition, consumer sentiment, computer engineering, and much more. This afternoon, we are going to have our first Korea Africa Youth Ideation event. This is the first ideation event, and we have selected some new ideas for the ideation. And for this year's Ideathon event, the Korea-African Joint Agenda for the Climate Change Response and Creative Policies to raise awareness of Africa and Korea as the theme in order to promote cooperation in tackling common social challenges faced by both Korea and Africa. Ladies and gentlemen, Korea-African partnership should go beyond Korea and Africa and to the world. The youth of Korea and Africa are members of the global community, and they have the responsibility to discuss international challenges such as climate change, seek solutions, and work together to realize prosperity and peace for the world. You can play the pivotal role in strengthening the Korea-African partnership. I would like to ask the participants of the Korea-Africa Youth Ideation to help us create our joint agenda against climate change and look for various ways to create a more cohesive and inclusive global community. I sincerely hope the participating youth from African countries and Korea can come up with bright ideas for resolving some of the challenges we face as a global community. I look forward to very insightful and bright ideas from this event today. Ladies and gentlemen, African countries and Korea have different social, linguistic, and historical background. Therefore, understanding each other's cultural difference is a very important first step in achieving genuine understanding of each other. Having correct understanding and awareness of Africa is the most important step in building the basis for a strong partnership and genuine friendship between Korea and African nations. So we need to lay the strong foundation for partnership. Removing any prejudice or bias in our understanding is the first obstacle we need to overcome in order to build a mutually beneficial relationship. I hope today's event, by bringing together African youth and Korean youth who understand Africa, could plant a seed for more prosperous and harmonious future for all of us. Africa is a very young continent with 70% of its population aged 30 and younger. I hope today's forum can serve as a stepping stone for expanding future-oriented exchanges and cooperation between the youth of Korea and Africa. The Korea Africa Foundation will continue to serve as a platform for mutual cooperation and prosperity by connecting Korea and African countries and by supporting youth exchanges between the two regions through various pathways and channels. Our leaders of our future, I thank you all for your commitment and passion for developing the Korean-African relations, and I cheer for you. Thank you very much. I hope you enjoyed today.
Once again, please give him a big round of applause for the warm messages. I hope they will have even more closer cooperation exchange between the young people of Korea and Africa. Now I'd like to invite His Excellency Carlos Victor Bongo, the Ambassador of Gabon to Korea and Dean of the African Group of Ambassadors, for welcoming or congratulatory remarks.
And also the Ambassador of Gabon to Korea.
Ambassador Woo Ki Leo, the President of the Korea-Africa Foundation, Ambassador Shafiq Rashadi, Ambassador of Morocco, and Vice Dean of the African Group of Ambassadors, distinguished participants, young people of Korea and Africa, ladies and gentlemen. Good afternoon to you all. I feel honored to take the floor and to join the conversation once again on an important topic which is a key component in the reinforcement of relations between the Republic of Korea and the African continent. The fourth Korea-Africa Forum offers us another opportunity to address the fundamental question of the role of the youth and the impact that they can make in the promotion of cooperation between Korea and Africa. This fourth forum will certainly provide a platform for mutual exchanges among students and open avenues for creative policy ideas to benefit Korean and African youth. I take this opportunity to recognize and appreciate the Korea-Africa Foundation for its commitment to and focus on the important role that the youth can play in the reinforcement of the Korea-Africa partnership. In its role as a promoter of cooperation between Korea and African countries, the Korea-Africa Foundation is offering the youth another occasion to voice their ideas and suggestions on the best practices, aiming to enhance understanding and facilitate the creation of partnerships between and among the youth of Korea and African countries. The African continent has a young and a vibrant population which is projected to double by the year 2050, while the global workforce is gradually shrinking. The African Youth Charter, adopted in Banjul, the Gambia in 2006, aims to strengthen, to reinforce, and to consolidate efforts to empower young people through meaningful participation and equal partnership in driving the Africa's development agenda. The African Union, the AU, has tasked its youth division with implementing the continent's youth agenda. Beyond the African Youth Decade Plan of Action of 2009-2015, many challenges remain unmet regarding the 5 key identified priority areas, which include: number 1, education and skills development; number 2, youth employment and entrepreneurship; number 3, governance, peace and security; number 4, youth health; and number 5, agriculture, climate change, and environment. Most of these challenges, particularly those relating to education and entrepreneurship, can be met if the youth take action by developing startups and by interacting with the private sector and business partners in the global environment. The celebration of Africa Youth Day on the 1st of November each year aims to increase awareness of, commitment to, and investment in youth. In the framework of Agenda 2063, the African Plan of Action for Youth Empowerment 2019-2023 provides the blueprint for youth programming at continental, at regional, and at national levels in Africa. In the same vein, the 1 Million by 2021 initiative, launched by the African Union Commission in April 2019, focused on creating connections between the African Union member states, corporate sponsors, and development partners to facilitate investment in the African youth. The Korea Africa Foundation should work closely with the African Union on questions in connection with youth empowerment by involving the Korean private sector as well as Korean youth and African youth in the AU's youth agenda. Going forward, the 4th Korea Africa Youth Forum's workshop with African candidates to master and doctoral degrees in Korea, the Korea Africa Youth Ideathon, and the 2021 Startup Idea Contest are all great initiatives that need to be underscored and consolidated. I commend the efforts of the Korea Africa Foundation in this regard, and I look forward to fruitful exchanges during this important forum. Thank you very much. 감사합니다.
네, 여러분 큰 박수 부탁드리겠습니다. 네, 좋은 말씀 감사드립니다. Thank you, Ambassador, for your contribution and support towards this event. Thank you once again. 네, 그럼 마지막으로 차픽 라차디 모로코 대사님께서 자리에
Now, I'd like to ask His Excellency Shapik Rasadi, the Ambassador of Mukuro, to say a few words. Ambassador, you don't have to come onto the stage, but please say a few words just to congratulate the opening of today's forum.
Yeah, thank you so much. And it's very nice to see all this generation who are here among the future. We are perhaps the present or perhaps the past. You are the future. And the future is Africa. Not because my country is in Africa or in the North Africa, but I'm sure that this combination, this synergy between African countries and Korea will be, it's a challenge for the future. And I'm sure also with the mindset of African people, especially you, the future, with the background of Korea, which we share with Korea a lot of how I can say of history, because if you take the history of Korea 50 years ago or even 30 years ago, is the same of many African countries. That means we can take advantage from this experience, but in one condition. Korea and African countries, we have to work together, but based on a win-win strategy. Africa change. Countries in Africa change. We have to see a prosper Africa. We have to see a continent for the future. So what I can say in the closing, of this interaction, you are the future. You are everything for us. With Korea, we will build a future based on win-win approach. 감사합니다.
네, 큰 박수 부탁드리겠습니다. You are the future. 네, 여러분이 우리
Yes, you are the future. Once again, thank you very much, Ambassador, for the warm message. Now we are going to officially begin the Korea-Africa Youth Ideathon. Participants are requested to come up with creative ideas on 2 topics that are relevant both to Korea and Africa so that it could be used to establish viable policies. And this is the first event that's organized. There are 2 topics. One is Korea-Africa Joint Agenda for the Climate Change Response. And another topic is creative policies to raise awareness of Africa in Korea. I hope that the young participants today will produce really good ideas for the topics presented. In order to help the participants to come up with really good ideas, we have invited 7 mentors. First, I'd like to introduce the mentors who have expertise in relation to the African awareness. Whenever they're introduced, please welcome them with a big hand. Representing an NGO called Africa Insight that is actively engaged in changing the perception on Africa, we have Mr. Ho Sung-yong. Representing the Korean Parliamentarian Forum on Global Health and the writer of the book called My First Lecture on Africa, we have researcher Kim Yu-ah. And the mentors related to the topic of climate change, representing KOA, which envisions to create a sustainable society by developing eco-friendly materials, we have CEO Yu Dong-ju. Now the mentors who are going to help the participants in relation to the policy development and budgeting. Representing Africanist, a social media news company and consultant, Mr. Woo Seung-won is here with us. And representing All Out Me, we have CEO An Ji-hye, who has experience of creating startup companies twice. Last but not least, representing the Global Social Economy Forum, who served as the former project team manager, we have Ms. Kim Ah-reum. So we have invited the experts on Africa with different areas of expertise. I am sure that their expertise and experience will be really useful for the participants. Now it's time to introduce the finalists of the Korea-Africa Youth Ideathon. The eligibility of this event was quite challenging to meet. The teams competing today have to have at least 2 African students and 1 Korean student. So we received applications from team applicants and individual applicants, and finally we have 6 teams to compete today. Now I'd like to introduce the teams who will address the topic of the joint agenda of finding the climate change response. When their names are called, please give a big hand. We have Microbig. Welcome. Thank you. Table number 1, consisting of individual participants. Table number 1, welcome. Another team of individual participants. Table number 2, where are you at? Thank you and welcome. And the teams who will come up with ideas on the subject of creative policies to raise awareness of Africa in Korea. And the team is Together for Korea Africa. Hello and welcome to Together for Korea Africa. And the fifth team, Africa meets Korea. Welcome. Last but not least, we have Met Africa. Welcome. So I've introduced all the 6 teams. I can already feel the passion of the finalists. I have high expectations about the idea that they will come up with. Now, for the next 180 minutes, we're going to have the Korea Africa Youth Ideation or Ideathon, and this is how we are going to proceed. Please kindly check the items that must be included in your slide. You have to present the 4 items to describe how you arrived at the ideas. When you are making the presentation materials, you have to have the screen ratio of 4:3, and if you're using specific font, and if you want to include special sound effect and video, you have to submit that along with your presentation slides to the email address mklee1@ps.com by 4:30. After collecting all the slides, we will going to decide the order of the presentation by lots, and you will have 10 minutes for your presentation with 5 minutes of Q&A. So please kindly consider the time limitations in making the presentation slides. And while having discussions about your work, if you need any assistance, please kindly approach one of the mentors. Now it's time to begin the Ideathon. On my count of 3, let us shout, Ideathon fighting. Alright? So you join me? Alright, so let's begin. 1, 2, 3. So the Korea Africa Youth Ideathon has begun. So before we proceed, since we